going on, everybody? This is my sports edition of my podcast. If you love sports, stay tuned. I got a good episode for y'all today. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. And my other podcast, the one that I actually wanted to start this on, I'm doing this in the first place. All the pop culture, current event stuff like that. Go follow that one as well. That's just the regular one. Like I said, this is a sports one. So thank y'all for tuning in. But without further ado, before we get started, I'm going to actually plug my socials in real quick. So on my website, I have all of my socials: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, like all that stuff. My podcast stuff for Anchor, the audio only version. YouTube, obviously, for the podcast with the visuals. And I got much more planned for that. So stay tuned. My TikTok, the funnies and stuff, and good content. I'm a content creator. I want to grow, so TikTok is growing, so I'm going to try to grow with that. Easy stuff. Instagram, Twitter, that's the real live stuff that's going to be happening to me live in the moment, whatever. So go ahead, follow me there, send me some TikTok, send me some content on there, and that'll be easiest way for me to actually read it and then put whatever content you want me to do in the show, this one or the other one. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so the Bucs and the Suns, the finals. This is a great finals, by the way. I like seeing lower level teams, mid-market teams, get in the finals instead of like these big teams like Golden State or Miami or, big markets that have like a lot of, market. Nobody thinking about Milwaukee when they talk about sports. So I like that. Giannis had a great game too, but supporting cast wasn't there. They play a little different when Giannis is on the floor. What I mean by that, they're not worse. They're not a bad team when he's on the floor. He's a 2-time MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, for crying out loud. He's not a bum or a scrub by any means. But they do look a little different with him on the floor, moving the ball and, getting rebounds and all that stuff. They just play different. I don't know why. You see Drew Holiday, he's just, come on, Drew Holiday. Come on. That's not what they got you for. I mean, me personally, I think it's a product of the coach. I've never been a fan of the coach of the Bucs at all. He's not really a good coach, in my opinion. I hope the Wizards do not get him or do anything with this man as far as leading a group of men. But the Bucs are so tall. They're gigantic. Why are y'all not dominating the post? Why are y'all not dominating the paint? Get these easy buckets. Y'all have Giannis, Brook Lopez. These guys are tall. These shooters, the shooters will shoot, whatever. If they're worried about Giannis and Brook Lopez in the paint, they can dominate if they wanted to. They really could. But why are they taking so many threes? They're not a shooting team. They can shoot when they want to, but obviously they don't want to right now. They're not a... Come on, Milwaukee. Y'all are too tall to be playing small ball like this. That's why they're going to lose this series. I wanted them to win in 7, but they're not playing like they want to win in 7. They're playing like they want to get swept. If the Bucs can come back in game 3 and 4, win on their home court, I think they'll actually win and take the chip home. But you know what's crazy? I feel the exact same way that if they were to right their wrongs and then win these 2 games at home, Sunday and Tuesday, or Sunday and Wednesday, whatever the case is, I believe, I feel the exact same way about the Suns sweeping them right now. I feel the exact same way. I don't know. It's sad. I really want Chris Paul to win a ring. I love him as a teammate for his accountability, wisdom, and skill and all that. But if he doesn't win, I want him to go ring chasing. I don't care. I'll sit out the whole season, sign with the team, sign with the number 1 ranked team in the conference, whichever one you want. Let's say Golden State actually does really good with Clay and coming back, and then Wiseman coming back and all that stuff. And if they actually do trade for Ben Simmons and all that, go to Golden State. Go to Brooklyn Nets if they get healthy. Go somewhere. Sit out. Go ring chase. I do not care. Okay? I wouldn't even be mad at that at all. Nate McMillan back in Atlanta on a 4-year deal. He deserves it. Shout out to Nate McMillan. Shout out to the Hawks. They're a hot franchise. They're a superstar away, currently constructed from winning the actual title. I think they have a good chemistry. Y'all know I think chemistry is above anything. I don't care what stars you have. Obviously, the stars help, but if you got a good chemistry, you can beat anybody on a given night. And if they need a superstar and a mid-level type player, like a Drew Holiday or somebody, to actually get them over the hump in the East, that's what I think. Not actually Drew Holiday, but someone on his level. Come to think of it, Drew Holiday wouldn't be that bad on the Hawks. I digress, though. But anyway. So, as y'all know, Sha'Carri was left off the Olympics team. They had a state of emergency due to the coronavirus surging in the Olympics where it's going to be in Tokyo. Now there will be no fans in attendance. Honestly, I don't even think they should do it again. I mean, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, me personally, health comes before anything that you do. Make sure you're healthy before you do anything. It's crazy that we're in the middle of this pandemic and that's not under control, as you can see clearly. And it's like, this lets you know how much of a hold sports has on our lives as sports lovers. It's like we can't do without it. We literally cannot live without some type of sport being played. The competitive edge it's second to none. I mean, really. I love sports. You're watching this, you love sports. The majority of the world loves sports, so I see where it's coming from. But the bottom line is, of course, the money. I mean, economies are struggling. You know, these places that have or rely on sports to keep the system afloat, like they could have their only stadium in a city, like I don't know. I mean, just to name one, Norfolk. All we got is the Tides. I mean, the Norfolk Tides. That's it. They're not like a big sports thing, but for that little area around there, I mean, they generate money. You'd hate to see that economy struggling in that area and missing out on money, whatever the case may be. But we're in the middle of a pandemic. What can we really do? So Sha'Carri, just at this point, I'm not going to be like that rules are rules type guy, but in order to prevent stuff like this, we need to start making changes. I don't think smoking weed should get you banned or whatever from the Olympics, whatever the case may be. I don't think it's a performance enhancing drug, but if they're testing for it, just don't do it for the time being. Wait it out. Try to fight it out. I mean, now that we actually have a face, you, Sha'Carri, to this right here, we can fight it easier. A bunch of allegations and stuff, this in one people's ear, out the other. So I really hate that we have the face now and it had to be yours, Sha'Carri, but I'm glad at the same time that we can actually have this dialogue and discussion with people that actually make these rules, because that rule is so old. Like I said, I don't smoke weed. I don't think it should be banned. I don't think it should be like this crazy thing that we gotta just test and no, it's just too much. If you want to do it on your own time, do it on your own time. I don't care. Nobody else should care either. I just don't see it. I don't see why it's so bad. I never saw why it's so bad. It's just not something that interests me to do. I mean, if I need to, if I got a lot of anxiety or whatever, I'll think about it. It's not that big of a deal to me. So it is what it is. Cope however you want to cope. All right, so we know Rachel Nichols. This one's a little bit. It's a lot, a little bit. It's an oxymoron. Anyway, so she was removed from the sidelines of her interview duty for the finals due to some comments that were aired out recently that she made about her colleague Maria Taylor. Now, Maria Taylor's a great analyst, okay? She does it all for ESPN. And basically, long story short, the rant was filmed without her knowing, without Rachel Nichols knowing. And she said, if you need to give her more things to do because you're feeling the pressure about your crappy long time record on diversity, which, by the way, I know personally from the female side of it, like, go for it. Just find it somewhere else. You're not going to find it from me. You're taking my thing away. So basically, ESPN went to Rachel Nichols and said, hey, what do you think about putting Maria Taylor in your spot for the finals? Like, being the interviewer. And she, I guess, turned it down. But then she, in that private, conversation, she was like, no, I don't want her to do it because she's not going to take this opportunity away from me. She made being a female second in the totem pole in that argument. Okay? As she said, I know personally from the female side of it. That was an aside. The real thing was, you're not going to take it away from me. Just because, bring up the diversity thing, she was talking about her color of her skin. Like, just don't take away my thing. I'm all for it. Just don't take it away from me. Take it away from her, who else, whatever, but don't take it away from me. And that comes off as insensitive, obviously. I'm not saying just lay down and be like, no, take away all my opportunities, but it's just like, when you think about it like that, that's wrong. You should just left it alone. Like, no, I'm good. I like doing this. Can you find someone else to do it? Something like that. But don't make the reason color. That makes you look real bad, Rachel. And it's crazy because Rachel Nichols actually kept her job on the jump. That's another, ESPN show that talks about basketball. And she kept her job on that. But she lost her job for the finals. Obviously, they just gave it to they didn't give it to Maria, actually. They let Maria stay talking about it in the booth, but now Malika Andrews, another young up-and-coming black woman, shout out to her because she's doing a lot too, Malika Andrews. They gave her the interviewing spot now. So if you didn't notice, the white lady, Rachel Nichols, she's not interviewing post-game no more. Now it's Malika Andrews. So that's why, if you noticed the change, if you didn't know why, that's why. But like I said, it's funny how she kept her job on the jump after this, lost her job in the finals, whatever, kept her job on the jump, still an ESPN employee, but Paul Pierce, back in probably about a couple months ago at the most, he was basically, obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic, obviously no mask were in sight, but he had a bunch of strippers and stuff where he was at. And, he kept his job. I mean, he lost his job for that. The thing about me is the principle. Putting someone's color before things that 90% of the ESPN employees that are male, probably women too, do when they're off the clock. They do that off the clock. They entertain strippers and stuff off the clock. They may smoke something. Not weed. You know what? We don't know what he was smoking, but they may smoke a cigar, smoke a blunt, or a black, or something like that. Cigarette. It's funny how Paul Pierce lost his job, and Rachel Nichols still has hers. It's funny. So now I have a segment on here where I go through all 32 NFL teams, and I'm going through what they did in the off season, how they did last year, and what they're going to do this year. So this week I got the NFC South, and I'm going to start with the Atlanta Falcons. Now, me personally, I think the Falcons had a top 3 off season in general. They had a great draft, first of all. They got rid of Julio for cap space, so now they can build for the future because they're not winning anything within the next 2 or 3 years. They got a lot of pieces, a lot of veteran pieces that they signed to mentor those young guys that they're going to bring in this year, next year, all that stuff. They got Cordell Patterson. top two return guy, and he's a good running back, good wide receiver. Good not great, good not great. Kyle Pitts is going to be great. I think he's going to be great. They got a decent squad on their depth chart. Obviously, they have Matt Ryan at quarterback. Mike Davis and Cordell Patterson are the running backs. That it's not a bad duo. You can definitely do better, but they're not a bad duo. Calvin Ridley's the number one guy now since Julio's gone. So we're gonna look to see if he can make that step for the number one guy. He's not gonna be getting single coverage anymore. Now that Julio's gone, that double team is gone. Double team is gonna be on him. Triple team is gonna be on him if he's that guy. He's going to see if he can do it. They got a decent O-line. Jake Matthews, Matt Hennessy. Yeah, they got a decent O-line. It's not great. It's not bad, though. Their defense is a 4-3. Grady Jarrett's still a good defensive tackle. Dante Fowler's a good lineman, defensive lineman. Their linebackers can be better. Deion Jones. Their corner, A.J. Terrell. I've never been a fan of him. He was getting cooked in the national championship game. I'll never forget that. This man's number was trending during the game because they was like, wherever he is, number 8 is, throw to him because he can't guard him. But they're set up good for the future. They were last in the NFC South last year, obviously, and I think they're going to be last again. They got a ways to go, but I think they made some good steps this year. So I think they're going to finish probably 6-11. I'll go 6-11. All right. So the next team is the New Orleans Saints. Now, Drew Brees retired, obviously, but he was on his last legs anyway. He couldn't throw the ball more than 10 yards. Yeah, I hate to say it, but come on. Let's be real. They don't call Michael Thomas slant boy for no reason. He can't throw it down the field. That's why they brought in Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill's not even a quarterback like that. He can throw it, but he has more of an arm than Drew Brees, so that's saying something. We gotta get him, and then you gotta put Jameis Winston on a little trick play, just throw the ball down the field. Come on, man. But yeah, they got Alvin Kamara. That's my favorite. Excuse me. That's my favorite running back, and he's also a top 3, top 4 running back in the league. And this offense can be pretty good if Jameis Winston can get his head right. Taysom Hill, I don't know what they're going to do with him. He wants to be like a traditional quarterback, but I don't think he's going to be. They have a great O-line, so whatever they do, they're going to be set. I like the Saints O-line. The D-line, obviously, Marcus Davenport, Cameron Jordan. That's those two really good defensive linemen. Demario Davis at linebacker, they can be better on the outside, in my opinion. But the corners, Marshawn Lattimore, C.J. Johnson, Gardner Johnson, they're pretty good. I like Marshawn Lattimore more, obviously, but they're pretty good. Malcolm Jenkins, Marcus Williams, they're two good safeties that you can rely on and trust. So they got a decent squad, but it's all gonna, be on Jameis Winston. This team is gonna go where Jameis Winston takes them. So they were first in the NFC South last season. I think they're gonna be third, and they're gonna probably be 9-8 at the most. At best, 9-8. Next is the Carolina Panthers. They finished third last year. I think they are going to finish second at 11-6. I think the Panthers are going to be a sneaky good team this year. They got Hassan Reddick from the Cardinals, who is definitely an underrated defensive player. Brian Burns on the other side of the defensive line. Wow, Jeremy Chin, he is a good safety. I like him. J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson, they are going to be some good lockdown corners. Trust me. They're young right now, especially the rookie J.C. Horn, but they are going to be good. Denzel Perryman, I hope he can finally come alive. Shaq Thompson, he's a good linebacker. And their offense is going to be crazy. Sam Darnold, you have no excuse now. You got weapons on weapons here. Christian McCaffrey, Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, David Moore from Seattle, make a splash play here and there. Dan Arnold now from the Saints, that good tight end, and they got a decent O-line. I'm expecting the Panthers to be, at the very least, a wild card team. They're not going to get past the Bucs in this division, let's be real. But they're going to be second, and I think they're going to be really, really good and a good sleeper pick. They're going to do some damage. I like their offseason, too. They made some moves to help them, obviously getting Sam Darnold. And, they had a decent draft. Not a great one, but when you have a team like this, I feel like they're kind of in the win now for a good maybe 3 years mode. Dan Arnold and Ian Thomas, they're good tight ends. You can do a lot with this offense. You can really do a lot with this offense. Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, the top 2 running back in the league. So, Terrence Marshall, he was supposed to come to the Ravens apparently, but we got Rashad Bateman. I'm mad at that. But, Terrence Marshall's a good receiver, and they got him in the second round, I believe. So that's definitely a steal. He was trying to go first in a lot of drafts. So, yeah, I think the Panthers are going to do some damage this year. Last but not least, the Bucs. First of all, they're going to be first in the division. We already know that. They're going to go 13-4. Tom Brady's back. They brought everybody back from the Super Bowl. That's never heard of before. And we know, until I see Tom Brady fall off a cliff completely, I'm not writing him off. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it. Until I see Tom Brady just show signs that he is just aged so badly and just like Drew Brees can't throw the ball, I'm not writing him off. They have a great offense, great defense. I mean, they're only getting better because they brought everybody back for the chemistry. Like I said, chemistry is above all, in my opinion. What can you do? What can you do? Super Bowl favorites right here. I mean, who else? This was a quick one, but what else can I say? They brought everybody back. They won the Super Bowl last year. Early favorite now. 13-4. All right, that's it. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you for listening. However you got this podcast, make sure y'all send me some content, something that you want me to do, like a little game like top 5 receivers, top 5 quarterbacks, whatever the case may be. I don't mind doing that. I'm probably going to do that on my TikTok, but whatever. Yeah, just send me some content for this, and go watch my other podcasts of the like the pop culture, current events and stuff like that. That's just the regular Wassup with Will, obviously not the sports edition. So yeah, with that being said, thank you again. Love y'all. Take care. Be safe.